Enjoy listening. Alina returned from work and sank tiredly onto the sofa. Friday evening, which could have been the beginning of a long-awaited vacation, was overshadowed by the thought of tomorrow's meeting with her mother-in-law. Every month, the story repeated itself. Svetlana Arkadyevna arrived with a tragic expression and tales of new illnesses, demanding financial assistance from her son and daughter-in-law. The door clicked, and Denis, Alina's husband, entered the apartment. He looked guilty, and Alina already knew what the conversation would be about. Her mother called quietly. Denis blurted out, not looking his wife in the eye. "He's coming tomorrow. She has kidney problems and needs money for medication." Alina sighed deeply. Over the 3 years of marriage, she'd memorized all of her husband's intonations. That pleading voice only appeared when the conversation turned to his mother. 30,000 again, she asked wearily. Denis nodded, spreading his arms. "You know, the treatment is expensive, just like last month and the month before." Alina raised her voice. "Your mother suffers from a new fatal disease every month. And every time she needs exactly this amount." "Alina, don't start, please." Denis rubbed the bridge of his nose tiredly. "Mom is sick." This phrase was the final blow. Alina jumped up from the couch. "Why did you even get married if your mother still decides what we spend my salary on?" she shouted. "I work 2 shifts so we can save up for the down payment on the mortgage. And your mother is squeezing the last money out of us." "She's not squeezing," Denis tried to argue. "She really does need treatment. A healthy 50-year-old woman who goes to the gym every weekend and goes to the seaside twice a year." Alina threw up her hands. "Do you even understand that she's just using us?" "You can't know for sure," Denis stubbornly objected. Alina froze. At that moment, an idea struck her. If her husband didn't want to see the obvious, she'd have to prove the truth to him. "Okay," she said, unexpectedly calm. "Tomorrow we'll give your mother the money, but this time I want to know the exact diagnosis and medication list. I work with doctors and can help you find a good specialist." Denis visibly relaxed, relieved that the argument had ended so quickly. "Of course, thank you. I'll tell her you want to help." Alina smiled, but her eyes remained cold. A plan began to form in her head. Saturday began with a bustle in the kitchen. Alina was preparing a celebratory dinner, while Denis nervously glanced at his watch, waiting for his mother to arrive. Their small 2-room apartment in a residential area was sparkling clean. The doorbell rang precisely at noon. Svetlana Arkadyevna Zabritskia stood on the threshold, a trim, perfectly manicured woman wearing a fashionable suit and carrying a designer bag. The only thing that betrayed her terminal illness was her theatrically pale face and exaggeratedly slow movements. "Denis, my dear son," she said weakly, hugging her son. Then she nodded coldly to her daughter-in-law. "Hello, Alina." "Hello, Svetlana Arkadyevna. Come in, dinner's almost ready." Alina smiled tightly. During dinner, her mother-in-law, as usual, spoke at length and vividly about her ailments, periodically placing her hand on her lower back. "The doctors said your kidneys are in really bad shape. Expensive medications are needed," she said, sighing dramatically without finishing her sentence. "What exactly was your diagnosis, Svetlana Arkadyevna?" Alina asked, trying to sound sympathetic. Her mother-in-law hesitated for a moment. "Well, you know, those medical terms said something about kidney failure." "What medications were prescribed?" Alina continued. "I work for a pharmaceutical company. I could help with wholesale purchasing." "Oh, I don't remember the names." Svetlana Arkadyevna waved her hand. "I still have the prescriptions at home. Just give me the money. I'll buy everything myself." Denis was about to reach for his wallet, but Alina stopped him with a gesture. "You know, I have a better offer," she said with a smile. "My colleague, the head of the nephrology department at a private clinic, will see you without waiting on Monday. I've already made arrangements." My mother-in-law's face fell. "Why?" "I've already been examined by my doctors. But a second opinion never hurts, especially with such a serious diagnosis," Alina insisted. "Besides, it's completely free." We have a corporate program. I can't make it on Monday. I have other plans. My mother-in-law was visibly nervous. It's okay, Alina said gently. I'll arrange it for Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever is convenient for you. Health comes first. Svetlana Arkadyevna cast a confused glance at her son, seeking support, but Denis looked puzzled. Mom, why don't you see a good specialist? He asked, puzzled. Yes, because my mother-in-law hesitated and then abruptly changed her tactics. Okay, sign me up, but I need money now for current expenses and tests. Of course. Alina nodded. Just let's do it this way. I'll pay for all the necessary tests right at the clinic so you don't have to worry. Panic flashed in Svetlana Arkadyevna's eyes, but she quickly regained her composure. No, I need cash. I have a specific treatment plan. Denis began to frown, looking from his mother to his wife and back again. Mom, what's going on? Why are you refusing help? I'm not refusing, his mother-in-law raised her voice. I just trust my own doctors with these newfangled clinics. Then let's go see your doctors together, Alina suggested. I'll take Monday off and we won't. Svetlana Arkadyevna practically shouted, then lowered her voice and added. So, it's not necessary. I'm just asking for a little financial help from my own son. 30,000 every month. That's not a little, Mom, Denis said quietly. Alina and I are saving for a down payment on a mortgage. Oh, so that's it. His mother-in-law clasped her hands. So your wife has turned you against your own mother. I'm dying and you're stingy with money for me. No one said we're refusing, Alina countered calmly. We're offering real medical care instead of money. If you're truly ill, then why are you refusing? A tense silence fell. Svetlana Arkadyevna looked from her son to her daughter-in-law, clearly unsure of how to respond. I don't have to report to you, she finally blurted out, and abruptly rose from the table. Denis, take me home. I can see I'm not welcome here. Denis looked at his wife, confused. Alina, maybe not after all. Alina said firmly. It's medical care or no money. I won't blindly sponsor her treatment anymore. Svetlana Arkadyevna grabbed her bag and headed for the exit. I understand everything. You chose this woman over your own mother. Excellent. Don't call me anymore. When the door slammed behind her mother-in-law, a heavy silence fell over the apartment. Why did you do this? Denis finally said, looking at Alina reproachfully. Don't you find it strange that your mother is refusing free medical care? Alina asked. If she's really sick, then why won't she go to the doctor? Denis remained silent, but his expression showed that doubts had crept into his soul. A week passed. Svetlana Arkadyevna hadn't called, and Denis was gloomy. Alina sensed her husband was blaming her for the rift with his mother, but she stood her ground. On Friday evening, as the couple ate dinner in silence, the doorbell rang. Standing there was Igor, Denis's younger brother, whom they rarely saw due to their strained relationship. Hi, he said, walking into the apartment. We need to talk. The expression on his face didn't bode well. Once everyone was settled in the living room, Igor pulled out his phone. Have you seen Mom's latest Instagram photos? He held out the phone with the app open. In the photo, Svetlana Arkadyevna posed in a swimsuit against the backdrop of a turquoise sea. Geotech pointed to a Turkish resort, published 3 days ago. I saw this by chance through a mutual friend, Igor explained. Mom doesn't know I know. She tells everyone she went to a sanatorium for treatment. Denis stared silently at the photographs, flipping through them one by one. There's his mother on a yacht with a glass of champagne. There she is, at a restaurant with some strange man. She's been doing this for a while, Igor continued. I had my suspicions, but I kept quiet. Last month she asked me for money for an operation, but I refused. Then she got offended and stopped talking. You know, Denis turned to his brother with pain in his eyes. He guessed, Igor shrugged, but he was only finally convinced now. She's always manipulated us, you remember. Denis covered his face with his hands. Alina gently placed her hand on his shoulder, but he didn't react. I always gave her the last of my money, he said quietly. Even when Alina and I were barely making ends meet, she spent the money on entertainment. This has been going on for years, Igor said. Remember how, as a child, she'd say she couldn't afford your sports classes, but she'd buy herself fur coats and go on vacations? Alina listened silently. She'd never heard the brothers discuss their childhoods. Dennis had always idealized their mother and brushed aside any hint of her flaws. What are we going to do? She finally asked. I know, Dennis said firmly, a steely edge to his voice. We'll give her a medical quest, just like you wanted. The plan was simple and elegant. When Svetlana Arkadyevna returned from Turkey, she received a message from Dennis saying he was willing to give her money for her treatment. Delighted that her son had come to his senses, she immediately arrived. However, instead of the usual meek handover of an envelope containing the money, a surprise awaited her. Besides Dennis and Alina, Igor was also in the apartment, as was an unfamiliar middle-aged man in a formal suit. Meet Dr. Savliev, Alina introduced him. He's the chief nephrologist at the clinic I told you about. Svetlana Arkadyevna's face turned chalk white. Why is he here? She stammered. You complained of kidney problems, Dennis explained calmly. We invited a specialist to examine you right at home. Convenient, right? I've already recovered. My mother-in-law tried to wriggle out of it. The medications I bought last month helped. Kidney failure doesn't go away that easily, the doctor objected softly. Let me examine you. It won't take long. No, Svetlana Arkadyevna exclaimed. I won't undress in front of a strange man. Okay. Then let's go to the clinic, Igor suggested. The car was waiting downstairs. I'm not going anywhere. What kind of abuse is this? His mother-in-law went on the offensive. Dennis, you're allowing your mother to be treated like this. But Dennis remained adamant. Mom, you have nothing to fear if you're truly sick. We just want to help. And if you're not sick, then you'll have to explain where all the money we've been giving you for the last 3 years went, Alina added. Backed into a corner, Svetlana Arkadyevna decided to change tactics. She theatrically sank into a chair and burst into tears. Okay, I admit it, I spent that money on myself. But don't I deserve a little joy in life? I raised you boys alone, denying myself everything. Stop it, Igor cut her off. We both remember how you denied yourself buying a new car when we didn't even have money for proper food. Doctor, excuse me for this scene. Dennis turned to the doctor. It seems like my mother has something wrong, not with her kidneys, but with her conscience. The doctor nodded understandingly and tactfully left, having received payment from Alina for the visit. What now? Svetlana Arkadyevna asked when the door closed behind the doctor. Are you satisfied? You've humiliated your own mother. No, Mom, it was you who humiliated us all these years, Dennis quietly replied. You used my love and trust to manipulate me and extract money. Money we could have spent on our future, Alina added. You've received over 1 million rubles from us in 3 years. And what will you do now? Her mother-in-law asked defiantly. Are you going to sue me? No, Dennis shook his head. We simply won't give you another kopeck. And I want you to apologize to Alina for all the nasty things you said about her behind her back. Svetlana Arkadyevna snorted. What's wrong? She turned you against your own mother. No, Mom, Dennis said firmly. You ruined everything with your lies. Either you apologize and we try to build a normal relationship without financial manipulation, or we stop communicating. Heavy pause fell. Svetlana Arkadyevna looked at all 3 of them, realizing that her usual tactics wouldn't work this time. Okay, she finally muttered. I'm sorry, Alina, I was wrong. The apology sounded insincere, but it was the first step. And one more thing, Igor added. Dennis and I decided that you need the help of a psychologist. We'll pay for the first 10 sessions. A psychologist? Svetlana Arkadyevna was indignant. I'm in my right mind. This is not up for discussion, Dennis said firmly. Either you go to a psychologist and work on yourself, or we really stop communicating. 3 years have passed and a lot has changed. Alina and Dennis finally saved up for a down payment and bought a small 3-bedroom apartment in a new building. They had a daughter, Varya, who became the center of their world. Svetlana Arkadyevna, contrary to expectations, finally went to a psychologist. Of course, at first she resisted and even tried to manipulate the specialists, but gradually the therapy began to yield results. After a year of regular sessions, she sincerely apologized to Alina for the first time, admitting that she had been jealous of her son and had tried to destroy his marriage. 6 months later, she confessed that she had suffered from an inferiority complex her entire life and had tried to fill the emptiness within herself with material things and power over her children. Now Svetlana Arkadyevna came to them once a week to babysit her granddaughter. She no longer asked for money and even began working part-time as a consultant at a real estate agency, putting her experience in the field to good use. Today, the whole family gathered for a celebratory dinner in honor of Varya's birthday. The 3-year-old birthday girl delightedly unwrapped her gifts, and the adults smiled at her joyful face. "I've prepared a special gift for you, Alina," said Svetlana Arkadyevna, handing her daughter-in-law a small box. Alina opened it in disbelief and discovered gold earrings with sapphires inside. "It's too expensive, I can't accept it," she said, flustered. "Can you?" Her mother-in-law smiled. "I've been saving up for them for almost a year. This is my gratitude for not turning away from me, even when I deserved it, and for arranging for me the medical quest that ultimately changed my life." Alina touchingly hugged Svetlana Arkadyevna. Dennis and Igor exchanged smiles. Little Varya, not understanding the reason for everyone's affection, clapped her hands joyfully. "You know," Svetlana Arkadyevna said thoughtfully, "sometimes we need a shake-up to see who we've become. I'm grateful to you for not letting me completely turn into a monster." "To family," Dennis raised his glass. "To honesty," Alina added. "To new beginnings," Svetlana Arkadyevna smiled, genuine tears glistening in her eyes. Perhaps this moment marked the beginning of their true family, free from manipulation, lies, and pretensions. A family where everyone could be themselves and love each other for who they are.